Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Let's begin the daily quiz for today with question number 1 on your screen. Consider the following statements with regard to the anti-defection law. Number 1. The law originally protected the speaker's decision from judicial review. Second, this safeguard was struck down in the Quijotto-Holohan case of 1992. Third, the MPs and the MLAs disqualified under the anti-defection law are barred from contesting elections for a period of 6 years. Which of these given statements is or are correct? The correct answer here is A. 1 and 2 are correct, the third statement is wrong. Recently, you would have seen that in the Karnataka Legislative Assembly, the Speaker of the Assembly, while disqualifying some of the MLAs under the anti-defection law, also barred them from contesting elections for some years. However, the Supreme Court later turned it down and Supreme Court said no, this is not allowed under the law. The Speaker's power are only restricted to disqualifying the members of the Legislative Assembly. The Speaker cannot bar these members from contesting the elections again. Therefore, first and the second statements are correct. As you all know, the anti-defection law has been in the news for the reason of Maharashtra and also because of what has happened in the other states in the past few years, including Karnataka and other states. This article gives you a lot of details about the anti-defection law, about how it originated after the 1967 Haryana incident, where Haryana's MLA Mr. Gaya Lal, who was an independent MLA, juggled between multiple parties, Congress and Janata Party for 2 weeks, switching his loyalty. That is why there was a need felt because it led to a lot of instability within the government. And that is why in 1985 finally the anti-defection law was introduced, under which the members of the legislature can be disqualified for giving up their party's membership, voting against the party's whip, or even abstaining from voting. The article tells you that the law originally said that the Speaker's decision to disqualify the members cannot be open to judicial review, but in 1992 the Supreme Court said no, the Speaker's powers can be challenged in the Supreme Court. Thus, the judiciary took it upon itself to decide finally whether or not the people will be disqualified or not. It was in 2019 in the case of Karnataka, as we said, that a 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court upheld the Karnataka Speaker's decision to disqualify the rebel MLAs but struck down the decision to bar the MLAs from contesting elections till 2023. As you know, there are certain exceptions to the anti-defection law as well, which we will discuss a bit later. Next, question number 2. Consider the following statements with regard to the small savings schemes. Number 1. Collections from all the small savings instruments are credited to the National Small Savings Fund. Second, small savings schemes can be grouped under 3 heads: the post office deposits, the savings certificates, and the social security schemes. Third, Sukanya Samriddhi scheme is also a part of the small savings schemes. Which of these given statements is or are correct? The correct answer here is D. All the 3 given statements are correct. The Sukanya Samriddhi scheme is a part of the social security schemes only, which includes other schemes for old age people, etc. The other small saving schemes include the post office deposits and the various kind of saving certificates that the Government of India announces. The money that is invested in these schemes goes into the National Small Savings Fund, that is NSSF. The reason why we are discussing this is because the government might be inclined to increase the small savings rate, encouraging people to invest more money in these saving instruments. The experts say since the yield on the government securities also has hit a 4-year high, we expect that the interest rate offered in the small savings scheme would also increase. The rate of interest on instruments such as the Provident Fund and the National Savings Certificate currently is 7.1% and 6.8%. At a time when our inflation is going above 7 and 8%, these saving schemes have to increase their rates in order to be more attractive for the people. The retail inflation, as the article says, hovered above 7% in April and May. Thus, it squeezed the budget of the households across the country. Next, we have question number 3. Consider the following statements. Number 1. The Union Education Ministry releases the Performance Grading Index, that is PGI, for the states and union territories, which is used as a tool to provide insights on the status of school education in the states and union territories. Second, it is implemented and initiated by the Department of School Education and Literacy. Third, as per the PGI of 2019, none of the states have districts in the top category called the Daksh category, which is equal to scoring above 90% points. Which of these given statements is or are correct? These statements, as you can see, are specifically with regards to an index called the Performance Grading Index. The correct answer here is D. All the three given statements are correct. Very recently, the Performance Grading Index of 2019 data has been released, which has ranked the individual districts across the country in terms of their school performance specifically. Disappointingly, none of the states have any districts across the country in the top category. That was a Daksh category. That is why the report says that there is still a lot of scope of improvement. The second category from the top was a Utkarsh category of 81 to 90% scale, where there were certain districts. There were three districts, in fact, that figured in this particular category. The report specifically points out towards Rajasthan performing very well as compared to the other states in this particular index. The Ministry of Education has considered multiple indicators while preparing a report for this index, including effective classroom transactions, learning outcomes, infrastructure facilities, the schools entitlements, school safety, children protection, etc. Apart from Utkarsh, the other categories are Ati Uttam, that is from 71 to 80%, Uttam category 61 to 70, then Pracheshta 1, Pracheshta 2 and Pracheshta 3. The lowest grade in this index is called Akanshi 3, which is score of up to 10% of the total points only. Next, question number 4. Consider the following statements with regards to the World Bank Group. Number 1. IDA or International Development Association is the part of the World Bank that helps the world's poorest nations by offering low or zero interest loans. Second, India is a member of all the bodies under the World Bank Group. Third, the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes was established in 1966 by the Convention on the Settlement of Investment Disputes between the states and nationals of other states. Which of these given statements is or are correct? The correct answer here is C, 1 and 3. India is a part of most of the organizations under the World Bank Group, but India is not a part of ICSID. India's official line is that this particular convention is unfair and it is biased in favor of certain nations. That is why we are not a part of it. As you know, the World Bank Group has multiple organizations. That is the IDA, there is the IBRD, there is the IFC, then we have MIGA, and then we have the ISCID. While India is a member of the other organizations under the group, but we have not become a part of the ICSID since we consider it as unfair. The reason why we are discussing this is because the World Bank has recently approved a $250 million loan to support the government of India's road safety program for 7 states, under which any single accident reporting number will be set to a better managed post-crash events. These states include Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. This loan has been sanctioned specifically from the IBRD, that is, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. The loan has a maturity period of 18 years. Next, we have a previous year question from 2021. With reference to India, consider the following statements. Number 1. There is only one citizenship and one domicile. Second, a citizen by birth only can become the head of the state in India. Third, a foreigner once granted citizenship cannot be deprived of it under any circumstances. Which of these given statements is or are correct? The question is specifically around the concept of citizenship. The correct answer here is A. The first statement is correct. Second is wrong. Head of the state in India means the President of India. The Constitution only says that the President of India must be a citizen of India, but does not say that the person has to be a citizen by birth. So a person that has become the citizen of India, even by other means, by registration, by naturalization, also has the equal right to become the head of the state. The third statement is also wrong. For a foreigner who has been granted citizenship of India, the citizenship can be taken away under multiple situations. For example, if the person has obtained the citizenship by fraud, if the person has shown disloyalty towards the Constitution of India, if he or she has traded or communicated with the enemy during the war, if within 5 years after registration naturalization, the person has been imprisoned in any country for 2 years, etc. All these are conditions under which the citizenship can be taken back from the foreigner who has been granted the Indian citizenship. The first statement is correct. In fact, in 2010, the Uttarakhand High Court clearly declared there is no separate domicile for each state. There is only one domicile for the entire country. The second statement, as we discussed, is wrong. President of India can be anyone who is a citizen of India, not just citizen by birth. Next, we have a fact of the day, and today we will be discussing about the two-third rule in the anti-defection law. As we discussed, the anti-defection law is in the news quite a lot, specifically with respect to what is happening in Maharashtra. Now, the anti-defection law specifically says that if you resign from your political party as a member of the legislature, you will be disqualified. However, there are certain exceptions. The exceptions are if at least two-third members of the ruling party, two-third MLAs or two-third MPs together resign, then they will evade any disqualification, then they will still remain the members of the legislature. That is why you would have seen in Maharashtra also the part that is coming out of the Shiv Sena. They want at least two-thirds of the elected MLAs of Shiv Sena to be a part of their group. Only then they will be able to evade any disqualification. Earlier, the law was one-third, but one-third was much easier to achieve. That is why it was changed to two-third. Now, the interesting part is that the courts also have declared a lot of judgments in this matter specifically. Like in February this year, High Court of Bombay held that 10 Congress MLAs and 2 other MLAs of Goa who had joined the BJP in 2019 are to be exempted from disqualification. They said that a two-third rule of the anti-defection law applies to them and they will not be disqualified. In 2007, the Supreme Court interpreted the term voluntarily giving up the membership of the party and said that a person may be said to have voluntarily given up the membership even though he or she has not given the official resignation from the membership of the party. The two-third rule is the one which actually stops a lot of defections from happening because of the fear that if a small number of MLAs or MPs leave the party, then they shall be disqualified. A lot of experts also believe that even if two-thirds of the MLAs have broken away, they will be protected from disqualification only if they merge with some other party or become a separate group in the legislature. What happens here on in this particular case remains to be seen since the matter is now being heard in the Supreme Court as well. This is everything that you needed to know about today's daily quiz video. Thank you so much for watching.